Welcome to Reims, the capital of the Champagne region, with so many vineyards that you can tour in the area, and it's home to the cathedral where kings have been crowned for hundreds of years. I'm going to show you two champagne houses and show you inside the famed Reims Cathedral. So this morning we took the train into Reims. We came in from Paris and we've come here to do champagne tastings because this is the Champagne region. Our first stop in Reims was Taittinger. We took the train from Paris to Reims, and since their cellars were under construction at the time, we went to a temporary location that's not currently in use, but the tasting will be the same. We stepped into our tasting room like royalty, seated at the head of the table like the king and the queen, while our princess sat nearby and colored this amazing art and had some juice. We had the chance to sample two vintages with a very special taste in their Comte de Champagne that we absolutely loved. They also offer tasting with canapés as well as a cellar tour, of course. The tasting includes learning about the grapes and the terroir, the Champagne region, and the history of the house. In their store, you can take home some of their incredible vintages, including this stunning box that includes 5 bottles, and they also have minis that you can enjoy that are perfect for your French picnic. And a very big thank you to Taittinger for the bottle of Brut Reserve to take home. It was absolutely delicious. Taittinger was fantastic. They're in a temporary location right now where they're welcoming guests to do tastings. Their actual cellars are closed right now to the public while they do renovations. So maybe I'll have to come back next year and have a little visit with their actual cellars, but we had a great experience. The champagne was delicious. We had 2 different styles of their champagne and we took a bottle with us and it is delicious. So I'm looking forward to popping that open when we get back to Toronto. The city is charming and it's mostly walkable, and there are great cafes and restaurants, and of course shopping as well, including for champagne. Now that is a church. And the history in this city is remarkable. Bonjour, Louis XV. The city has a history with kings and drama that dates back hundreds of years, and that's where the cathedral comes in. Reims Cathedral has roots that date back to the 5th century, and it tells so many stories. Along the outside walls, you can even still see bullet holes or shrapnel holes where the building was damaged during World War I. There's a lot to take in around the building, and the exterior is grandiose, but the inside is really especially astonishing. The huge stained glass windows, statues and chandeliers, and right on the wall, the history of the royalty that has been crowned here, dating back to the year 816 and ending in 1825 with the coronation of Charles X. A walk down the aisle is truly humbling. It's a tremendous structure with weight, gravitas, but it's still so beautiful, and it's an architectural marvel. It's considered one of the greatest examples of Gothic architecture in France. While there was a structure here in the 5th century and it's buried under the current cathedral, there was a cathedral here in the 12th century that was destroyed by fire, and the structure we see today was built in the 13th century, first being used in 1221 and complete around 1299. If you spot one of the statues of Joan of Arc, that's because she captured the church in 1429, helping to ensure that Charles VII could be crowned here. In the years since, there have been fires, and it was even turned into a granary during the French Revolution and a hospital during World War I. It's free to step inside and appreciate this stunning place with so many important moments in French history. Some parts of the church even give you a better sense of just how old this cathedral is. It's a must-visit stop if you've never been here while you're in Reims. It feels like the most French thing we could possibly do. We're stopped underneath some trees at the library, the bibliothèque, And we just stopped at a patisserie and we got ourselves ham and cheese sandwiches. And we're gonna sit here and enjoy before we head to Veuve Clicquot for another champagne tasting, which ain't bad. In front of the beautiful Art Deco style library, you can see a bust of Andrew Carnegie, who donated the funds that helped make the building possible after the area was devastated by World War I. After our lunch and walk around town, it was time for a tour of Veuve Clicquot. In all the champagne houses, Veuve Clicquot is not just notable for their success or their wine. Celebrating their 250th anniversary last year, the winery has stood apart for many reasons, including determination, ingenuity, and great champagne. With any tasting at the Champagne House, you'll also tour their cellars, and that's where you'll learn about Madame Clicquot, the grande dame of champagne. Tours start at about 35 euros for tasting with their Brut yellow label and go up to 250 euros for a prestige tasting. After a brief introduction inside, you'll descend into the cellars into a space that stretches 24 kilometers, with what I can only imagine are filled with thousands of bottles of champagne. The astonishing story about how Madame Clicquot led the company after her husband died and then innovated techniques in champagne that are still used today is really something to take part in. She invented the first vintage champagne, the first blended rosé champagne, and she created the table that would hold champagne bottles during their aging process. Along the way, the guide will teach you a lot of history and details about the company, the founder, the champagne, and most tours are about 1 hour, but the more prestigious tours last 2 and 4 hours. So you can take your pick about how deep you want to go into the history, the tasting, and everything else here. Even on a hot day, the cellars are really cool and refreshing, and it is something to be part of this historic place, to walk through these hallways and learn how champagne is made and see what they do to make everything work here. It is amazing, and their level of skill and detail is fantastic. I also love this touch, the steps with every notable year of champagne from the Veuve Clicquot winery. This is really something, so keep an eye out for your birth year here. Maybe you were born in a very good year. I know I was, which is saying something, I guess. Afterwards, you'll go upstairs and you'll enjoy a glass of Veuve Clicquot champagne. Depending on which tour and which tasting you have, you may have more or less, but these tastings are an excellent way to cap off your whole experience. And then, of course, you can exit through the gift shop and go buy yourself a bottle of champagne to take home or to enjoy on your trip. They have lots of excellent gifts and items here, including lots of different vintages and champagnes. I adore this store because you can, of course, also take home something to show off your love of Veuve Clicquot as well. And you can extend your stay here a little bit longer and have a snack or drink in the Veuve Clicquot Cafe. All right, that is our second champagne tasting, and it was excellent. It was very cool to actually see the caves since we couldn't do that at Taittinger. So this was a good spot. Veuve Clicquot puts on a great show. They tell a lot of the history and exactly what Cliquot created, because there are some things that she came up with that hadn't been in the industry before. So it's really interesting. It's a great spot. You can come sit at the cafe and have a drink, or I think they have other things other than just champagne, but it is a great spot just to come while you're in Reims and explore. We had a great time. Thank you so much for watching. Please, if you enjoyed this, it would be great if you could leave a like or a comment if you have any questions or anything you'd like to mention or ask about. Thank you very much.